call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back. It is Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now today we will be taking a look at Azrael from the Knightsend version of Knightfall from DC Comics. Pretty cool armored up version of Azrael. Now this isn't necessarily Bruce Wayne as Batman, because of course this all takes place during and after the storyline where Bane breaks Batman's back. So Jean-Paul Vallée takes over as Batman, handpicked by Bruce Wayne himself to be his successor. Now it is a very interesting and cool story. Classic story from DC Comics. And it is pretty awesome to get this version of the armored up Knightfall Batsuit. Now, of course, this is the standard version. There is the blue platinum. And although people say that the blue version is the more sought after, I feel like either way, whichever one you get, you have a very nice figure to add to your Knightfall collection. Now, the Knightfall collection is starting to get spread out really nicely. We have this cool Nightwing, we have Batman, of course you have Bane, and you also have the beautiful Catwoman. And not to mention the original Azrael version of Batman. So pretty cool to have all these figures in your Knightfall collection. Pretty nice to see it expanding in our DC Multiverse line. Now this guy does look pretty brutal in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stamp. Now, of course, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also has his Datafall card. On the front, you have an image from the comics. Pretty nice looking artwork there. One thing I will point out is the claws. Now, this original version comes with the clawed hands, and this new version comes with just fisted hands. And although I wasn't really sure what to make of that at first, because I do really enjoy the clawed hands, the fisted hands did end up really growing on me, especially for what I use them for, which we'll look at later on in the video. Now on the back you do have some information, a read up on Azrael, pretty cool. We'll hold on to that. Now he does come with all of these attachments that basically make up his cape. And although in the comics I think they do kind of, move around a little, these are pretty much going to be static. They're not going to have any motion, but they have some really nice detail. All the gears, and John Paul digs down into like his ancestors' knowledge of technology, and that's why all his equipment and his suits are designed by him in their own specific way. But they're pretty cool, but we'll show how to add these on a little bit later on. So first, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. Pretty cool version of Azrael. Now, a lot of people would say that, oh, it's not exactly accurate because there's reuse here, but for the most part, I'd say 99.8% it's accurate to the version in the comic storyline. Aside from the little details in the armor, like I'm pretty sure he has like a scope, up on, depending on which version of Azrael it is, because of course he modified his armor like very quickly throughout his storyline. At one point, even having like missiles and stuff like that. So, pretty, kooky armor that he wears. And although I will say, probably in the dead of night on the streets of Gotham, it was pretty horrifying to see this, mechanical Batman coming at you. So all in all, I'm very happy with first impressions. Looks really good. You got all the details of Azrael on there. the bat symbol added on the chest, the connector cables that power up his gauntlets, really make him like a powerful mechanized, claw. So pretty sweet. He looks really good. Love the metallic red. It's not the brightest red, but it will suffice for now. Taking a look at the helmet, they did a good job of capturing the Azrael look. As I said, there's little details that could be different from comic to comic. So for the most part, it is accurate, and it has a really nice, cool, sleek design. And McFarlane definitely doesn't skimp on adding the little details. Although they can be a little bit inconsistent, the details are usually there. Take a look at the articulation. Now, for an armored head, it's usually hard to get articulation. We'll look at the DC Universe Classics version later on, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But he looks down really well. Look at that range. Looks up as well. Great. You got right to left. And of course, you could tilt his head for some attitude. Awesome, awesome articulation at the head. Far superior to any other Azrael we've received before in this armored version. You got this cool suit design from the 90s. A lot of pouches, a lot of claws. Shoulder articulation is very smooth. We won't go too much into the articulation. It is basically what you see from McFarlane. Now, one thing that was a choice and McFarlane made, and a lot of people didn't like it, was the fisted hands. Because, of course, even on the artwork of the box, you have the clawed hands showing. But I, for one, knew from the very beginning, by seeing these, once they showed the images, we knew we weren't going to get alternate hands with this one. I kind of knew I was already going to swap them out with my custom version that I'm going to work on for the first Azrael armor. So it wasn't a big deal to me because I already had plans to swap out the claws for the fists. But all in all, great articulation. You got waist articulation, very nice. Another thing that a lot of older figures are lacking is all of this range at the waist. Really cool. Great design. Take a look at them from the bottom. No tread. Move up the back. I love the way they show all this, the gears and the technology Azrael used to power his armor. Very, very nice. Now, you can attach the blades to his back. They very simply, pour in here, and then you add each one to give that, wing design. Now, they don't manipulate at all. I could see where you could mod this by cutting it and only having the swivel part, which would allow you to get more articulation out of the wings. I may do this because I do have a couple of these ordered on other sites. Maybe I'll get the platinum version. Hopefully, if not, not a big deal. But what I will have will be more versions so that I could do some custom work. In fact, probably leaving one with these silver claws the way I have this guy set up here. So all in all, I'm really happy with this addition to the Knightfall collection. Really great looking figure. Now, as you can tell, I did swap out the fisted claws for these open claws. Really makes this figure stand out a lot more. Really gives him a more menacing look and more accurate to the comics. But the fist will not be wasted. As I said, I do have an alternate version of this original suit that I'm going to use for a custom. Now, originally, what I've been planning on this guy is doing the DC Direct version where he has more of a black and yellow with a darker blue color scheme. So I may eventually end up doing that, but I really enjoy the way it looks with these fisted claw hands. I do have the original version here, so this one will always stay the same. But there's just something about this look that I really enjoy, so I have no problem leaving the clawed fists on this figure. And for all intents and purposes, I could always swap them out if I want to do figure photography or anything like that. And that is a great thing about McFarlane, is if you have parts of one figure, you can always swap them over or modify them. Very customizer friendly line, and we all know this. And it is one thing that I love about McFarlane. So before we go, I do want to bring out, of course, I have them all. The DC Universe Classics version of Azrael Armor Red. There is also a blue version of this one, which I do have. But since I don't have the platinum, there wasn't no point in showing it. But what you could see in this one is the added details of the gold, like on the cables and on the part of the back. Now, I thought these wings were going to be more like tiered, like a small one, a larger one, and a larger one. But no, they are all the same size as well. So that was not something that McFarlane made a mistake. That is the way it is designed. And although this figure still holds up visually and stylized wise, what it doesn't hold up, of course, is articulation, because you get no movement in the head at all. Nothing. I mean, minimal. Of course, you have these quad cuts that I really despise that look very hideous. And even worse than that is the waist cut. If I'm not confused, I still think sometimes Marvel Legends releases figures with these waist cuts, and ugh, that is something that looks very, very bad. Not sure why they still use that old waist cut. Not my favorite, but it is what it is, and this is still a cool version of Azrael that I have with my complete DC Universe Classics collection. But anyways, guys, that is it. Pretty cool edition. Hopefully in the future I'll get the platinum. Want to do some repainting, adding some gold to this guy. Hope you guys have been able to pick him up. But anyways, as always, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Fat Man.